Hello and welcome to another Tabitha's Glass Emporium YouTube video. Today is International Bee Day, and as such we wanted to celebrate bees, and we've got a new Honeybee murrine. It's a three-part murrine where you get 2 wings, a body and a head in the collection for each bee, and you get 30 bees for a portion on our website right now. Check out these. We have made some little beautiful garden stakes, bee drinking. So the water sits in the gaps between and the bees can drink out of it, and here you've got little areas here where the bees can land on and have a nice little drink. And how cute and pretty are these? We've used some irid glass on these, which looks absolutely fabulous, and I just think they are so pretty. We've done these 2 here, and this was using the positive and negatives of the fibre paper, and we did 2 more in one in this beautiful yellow glass with some kind of gold irid, rainbow irid, and this one which is the neo lavender transparent. And I think a fly just came along a minute ago looking for a drink, so hey, already getting customers at our watering station. So that's absolutely fantastic. Yes, it is. It's a look, there we go, bug already here getting a drink. I don't think I want that bug there because I think those ones bite. I'm sure I've been bitten by that in the past, but we'll let you have a drink for now because you're showing everyone what these are for. So isn't that fantastic? Already in use, and really loving this idea. And today I'm going to show you how we made these. So for this project, we have cut some 6mm fibre paper moulds. Now we have an X tool, which meant that we could design it and then cut it on the X tool, but you could easily cut this by hand if you don't have an X tool. And we're going to use this to do some kiln carving for this project. So we basically have the positive and the negative, and we're going to use both. So we're going to make 4 of them. And so for this one, I want to cut circles a tiny bit bigger, so the glass is going to settle over it, around it. And with this one, I want to cut it a tiny bit smaller, so the glass will settle into it. So I'm going to start with one like this. I have measured it and know what size it is. I have got this fantastic new, you might have seen at Vegas, Toyo circle cutter that I'm super excited to use. Slightly disappointing for a European. It's in inches. I have no idea how you Americans do inches. But I've managed to convert it, and I think I've got it right. So Toyo, if you do this in centimetres, can you send me a one in centimetres? Because that's what I'd like. So yeah, use oil. When using circle cutters, they're expensive pieces of equipment, and please always use a bit of oil. You need to make sure your glass is kind of in the centre, and you're not going to hit the edge. You also need to make sure you have a clear path for your arm to go around. And then you want to lock it in place, and I'm making sure, again, I'm spreading the oil around. So I'm not pressing right now, I'm just literally spreading the oil around. I want to make sure this is locked in place and this can't move. And then in one smooth, I'm going until I hear it click, which means it's got back to the beginning. And then I can take it off and move it. And now I am going to use this. Now, guys, I have to try and remember how to use it. You hold with one hand and you press with the other, or is it the other way around? I think it's the other way around. Oh, there you go. Oh, look at that. How easy does that run? Jen gave me a demo in 𝐇𝐨𝐧𝐿, and I really liked how simple this was. I can see the score line is running. I can just keep taking it around and running the score. And it's making running the score line on this circle super easy. Now, all I need to finish it off is to do a line like that, and that comes out. Now the edge bit hasn't come out, that's only because I did it too close to the edge, but if I find a pair of those grazing pliers, I can just go in there and clip that bit off. And that, perfect circle. That is brilliant for running scores around circles, really love it. So that's going to fit in there. Now I actually want irid as the bottom layer. So 2 layers, we need the 6mm because we're going to go for a full fuse. To get this to kiln carve, we need to go to quite high temperatures. We'll put those in the firing schedules at the end. So we need a bit of irid glass. Now this is, I don't know because I've taken the label off and I forgot, but I think it's sunset coral. I want it the same size, so I'm making sure that I don't move this. I'm going to lock that in place. There's still a bit of oil. I can still see a bit of oil, but I'm going to put a little bit more oil on just to make sure. Making sure I'm running the oil around, that the arm isn't hitting things. The oil is all the way around, and then I can, when you hear it back at the beginning, then I can again take my, this is the Morton safety brake, brilliant, and I can see the score liners running. I can see the score liners running. I can see the score liners running. Oh, you can hear it run there. Pretty much that is run all the way around, and I can go across like this. Let's run in there and go across like this. And run it here. So it would make sense if I did one out this side. And there is your perfect circle out. That is just absolutely brilliant for running circles, and that is absolutely brilliant for cutting circles. Really lovely bit of kit. Feels really secure, steady. So after that, I need to give this, and I can't, oh, I do have a cloth. I need to give this a really good clean, because we've got to get all of that oil off, and I'm not giving it nearly good enough clean right now. I'm going to get some spray on it. I'm going to spray it up. Then you want to make sure you're getting your irid side down onto the mould, and then you're putting this on top, and then we will fire it like that. The irid side going onto the kiln shelf, onto the kiln, and fire it. Now, we've done a little bit of an error here. We've got thin fire. Irid doesn't want to fire on thin fire, so we're going to have to get a kiln washed shelf and re-stick this onto a kiln wash shelf rather than onto thin fire, because you don't want to fire irid side down onto thin fire. It can make it go really pockmarked and nasty. So that's something I learned quite recently. I made a really bad error on a big piece upstairs where it does actually, it didn't look so good. And I was like, why? And then I asked someone, they went, oh, you don't want to fire irid side down onto thin fire. So yeah, we will take that off onto a freshly washed kiln shelf, and we're going to do all 3 of them. We've got some sunset coral, some delicious neo lavender, we've got some marigold, and we've got some light bronze. So those different colours. I slightly wish we had a piece of that amber gold, but we don't have a big enough piece. So we're going to do it without the amber gold, but if you had some amber, that's the amber with just the irid gold on it, would look brilliant for this project too. So as you've seen, we opened the kiln and they look fab. That was the kind of them down. We flipped them and we've cleaned out the fibre paper, and we've come up with a bit of an issue. I totally forgot, you know, the irid and the fibre paper have like stuck together in places, and we've ended up with this not so nice surface. Now, if you weren't in as much of a rush as we are to make sure that we get this video out to you by National Bee Day, I would basically put some resist vinyl on here, cut around the hexagons, and then sandblast these to get rid of this. And we might still try and do that, depending on our time, at least with maybe these 2. It's going to be harder with this. With this, we could just, you're putting just the resist on the hexagons, and then you're sandblasting it around the edge, and you can see it here. The thing is, actually, you actually can't see, it doesn't look nearly as bad. So I'm tempted, you know, it helps me make sure I keep these fill up with water, because I really just want these in the garden for the bees rather than selling them. But if you're selling them, I would suggest you put a layer of kiln wash. So if you painted a layer of kiln wash onto your fibre paper, that would avoid it, you know, it would have an extra release layer and it wouldn't have stuck to the irid. Or you could do it without using irid glass, and then you wouldn't come up against this problem. But I do love this kind of iridy rainbow finish. Particularly on this one, it's really got this amazing crackle effect going on, where the irid kind of pulls apart as it was, the glass was stretched to fit into these moulds. So the great thing is you've got all this area that you can kind of put water in that the bees can get into and drink. And same with here, and then here you've got the indentations. So we've got new, what we're going to call honeybees. I'm going to have to put my glasses on, otherwise I'm not going to be able to see it properly. That are in stock now that you can buy. They come with a body, a little head. It's going to be slightly different from the one I'm doing here, because we've had these for a while, but I was like, oh, they don't really work and I don't want to sell them. But we worked out, if we have a little head, they look super cool. And they look brilliant. There you go, a little honeybee. We're going to put some little honeybees on here. We're going to put some flowers on these. I'm going to maybe just stick to quite a simple colour palette on each one. So I'm thinking maybe poppies on one, and some spring blossom on another, and different colours and different ones. Just decorate them quite simply, not a lot of murrine, tack fuse them, and then we can get them on a stake and get them in the garden for the bees. So you can see I've sandblasted some of it, not all of it, because there's no real kind of residue there, and so I didn't want to get rid of all the irid. Now I've chosen kind of various different colours for each different one, trying to sort of think of what murrine goes well. And I'm just going to kind of decorate them all with some murrine, and then we'll also put some bees on each one, and then they can go in a kiln on the tack fuse. So these are the hydrangea flowers on our website, but I quite like also using them as wisteria, which, you know, has that falling over, which I just think bees love. Now I've done 4, and because I'm that kind of person, I can't just do 4, I have to do odd numbers, so I'm going to have to do a 5th one. I think I'll do a 5th one hanging here. Ooh, quite like that. And then we're done with this one. Ooh, honeybees. So these are our new honeybees, which are on the website now, and they come, you get a kind of body, a very small head, and 2 wings for each one, and they're in the kind of a roughly 1 ounce bag. And they're super sweet. So on this one we've used our white rose and our rose leaf, which I think go really well together. It was interesting trying to find a colour that worked well with this bronze. It looks beautiful when you've got the light shining through it, but straight on a surface it's sort of quite dark. But I really like it with these white roses that make it pop. And the rose rose leaves look great. And we've got obviously got our new honeybees going on. I think I'm just going to say that's enough there, and put that one to one side. We'll go in the kiln and we'll see how it looks when it comes out. So this piece is a piece of irid light coral glass. So I'm going to use our spring blossom, pink spring blossom flowers on it, and some of our green leaves. I just think it's a really kind of lovely combination. This light coral glass is just such a lush colour, and just with a few of these, it's just all it needs to bring it bring this piece to life. And sometimes, you know, just a few murrine work. Put some of those on, put a bumblebee on, and, you know, in the kiln it will go. So for this one, which is the yellow glass, I'm going to use sunflowers and some of the sunflower leaves. I'm sort of, sometimes you know straight away how you're going to do something, and sometimes you have to kind of work it out a little bit and start it, and sometimes you go, oh, that's not working, and go off in another direction. And this again is one I'm not sure whether this is working or not. Sometimes I like really thin slices, so I cut slices in half. I'm just going to have a look at what it looks like this, or just like this with some sunflower leaves, or I think I like it without the stringers. So here's this one ready to go in the kiln, and we can see how it looks when it comes out. So here they are. We've shown you that we glued this long kind of, it's like a bolt head on it, and then I've just used sort of long screws, stainless steel screws, and then we can just, you know, this can be planted into the ground. I'm sure there's probably a more cost-effective way than this, but I'm not very DIY savvy. So for me and my team, that seemed like a kind of easy solution, and I quite like it. It means that we can take these off if you know, when we sell them, and wrap the glass separately. And the long screw head means that it's got a really good connection to the metal. So yeah, the long screw head, rather than me waving it around, means that that has a really good connection, and there's, you know, that much of this metal in there. So I just feel that that's a good, you know, a good solution for us. But I'm sure other people have other ways of doing garden stakes. So that's how they look. I really like this idea for, you know, love promoting bees, love promoting bee health. Can't wait for us to have our garden out here that we can put these in. But for the moment, we're going to try them up in my 2 window boxes I have in my apartment upstairs. I really hope you've enjoyed this idea. I really kind of love this, and, you know, what can we do to support the bees? We've got our new Honeybee murrine. They're on the website now. They may be a limited edition, so get them now. If you love them, we may carry on making them, but have a think. Check this out on the website. They're slightly different than the ones on the website. They have black heads, whereas this was some scrap black cane I had hanging around, so that my heads are a little bit different and not as good as the heads on the website. But I really love them as little honeybees. I love this idea, and I hope you do too. So go to the website now, get shopping for all your honeybee needs. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. Can't wait to see what you do with your kiln carving. We did have one little thought, which was, is irid glass food safe for bees? And the truth is, I have no idea. Is irid glass food safe for bees? So you may want to not use irid glass for this project. One, because we did have kind of problems and it's still a little bit rough around the edges, although we think that's going to give the bees better grip in the glass. And 2, because of the irid glass just may not be your thing. So you can do it with ordinary glass, and maybe that will make it food safe for the bees. I don't know. And yes, but definitely then you should cap it with Tector and put the Tector on the side that the bees would be on. But I hope that's given you an idea and some inspiration to make some kiln carved bee projects yourself. Check out our website for our honeybees, and until next time, happy fusing.